Every day, the social norm of a society goes under many different changes. One of the recent practices, no longer uncommon, is body modification. Tattoos and piercings are beginning to become a norm in society. Fitchburg has many different piercing emporiums and tattoo shops. We were lucky enough to sit down with a select few artists to show you just some of the many great artists in the area.
Business.
Accidentally, really. I was in art school, and I was kind of always like a punk rock kind of kid when I was younger, so I'd always liked tattoos. It was like 19, and I went into a tattoo shop in Worcester to get my first one. And the dude who was tattooing there got to be friends with me, and started shooting the shit about liking the same kind of art, the same artists and whatnot. And told him that I was going to school for it, so he asked me to bring in some drawings, and then tried to talk me into it, really. He was like, why don't you do this instead of wasting your time and probably like not doing anything with your degree? I was like, yeah, I don't really know. And then he showed me how much money he had made, and I was like, well, to dress how the fuck I want, and listen to music, and draw for a living, make pretty decent money doing it, so it kind of happened like that. Tattooing found me more than I found it.
Your first tattoo?
Oh, hell yeah. There was a shit ton of firsts. My first was, first time I ever touched a needle to somebody's skin was on one of my best friends from high school. And the guy who was teaching me how to tattoo just kind of blindsided me while I was watching him work. And was like, yeah, you're gonna do a line now. I'm like, oh, fuck. And then I was doing some color on that guy. It was like the first time I'd ever really worked with a machine. And Johnny, the guy who taught me, he was right-handed, so all his equipment was on this side. So my buddy was sitting like this, kind of sitting in front of me, and I went to cross over his body to go get more ink, and I leaned on the foot switch and like put a blue streak accidentally across the kid's arm. Ended up like it didn't stay, it just like grazed the surface so it fell out. But that was the first time I ever touched somebody with a needle. And the first time I did a full tattoo was on the guy who was teaching me, so that was pretty nerve-wracking.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, he got the word champion underneath his knee in red blood script.
So you're your own worst critic?
Oh, probably. I've always said that I wish I could see what my work looks like through other people's eyes, because it's like, it's this weird, constant yearning to be satisfied. Like, I just want to do that perfect piece that's flawless once, but I don't know if I'll ever get there because I always see something wrong with it. But, you know, when you ask for critique from other people, most of the time it's like friends of mine, so they're probably not going to tell me if something sucks or if they see something weird on it. And like, you know, I just don't ever seem to trust that people are being honest when they tell me stuff is good. So I don't know, I'd like to know how my work would stack up in my own eyes if I was looking at it objectively as if it was somebody else's work. But, you know, I guess like never being satisfied is what keeps you from sucking too bad. My mentor, Johnny, when he taught me how to tattoo, he kind of like told me about a mindset that he always kept. It keeps you sane from day to day, you know? It's like, if you screw the pooch and you fuck up and like you just aren't like feel down about your work at the end of the day, you got a chance to start fresh the next day. And if you think you're the champion and you rip like a really rad tattoo, you gotta like prove yourself again, you know? So it's just like having a clean slate every day is the only way to keep yourself from going insane. So, that's pretty cool. And the styles have like just blowing up in different directions, you know. Japanese style picked up a lot with Japanese traditional with like the Miami ink thing. People started seeing a lot of the dragons and the boy shit and all that stuff. So that came back into popularity, and then, you know, like with the Ed Hardy shit floating around, you get a lot of like, you know, I kind of specialize in traditional and neo-traditional stuff. So.
He's got all of it, all right.
So how'd you get into the piercing business?
How did I get into it? My uncle owns a shop out in Boston. He's had it since, I think, 97. That's how I kind of got into it. Everything that's in here that you see, all the jewelry, these go through an autoclave, okay? Jewelry's good for 6 months. Anything that's gone through the steam autoclave that we have here in the shop. Most of the needles we get come pre-sterilized with EOC gas. They're usually good anywhere from 2 to 5 years once they're packaged. Needles are single use. They go into a sharps container. Sharps containers get mailed back to this company called Stericycle that we use. They're burned, they're incinerated, and they send us back a confirmation slip saying that everything's been disposed of properly. We're using rubbing alcohol to clean the area. Do not use rubbing alcohol again afterwards.
Okay.
What happens is people put that, or they put peroxide on, they put a bunch on to give themselves a chemical burn.
That wouldn't be good.
Antibacterial soap 3 to 4 times a day. Ibuprofen and Motrin for the swelling. Deep breath in, and out. Through one hole, and up to the next. Yeah, add that to your film. Cartilage is there. This is the sterilization room. This is an ultrasonic. Alright. Everything that gets thrown in there, tubes, clamps, any of the tattooing equipment, ends up in there. The ultrasonic, what it does is it heats up, and it also vibrates, it shakes out any loose debris, blood, skin, ink, things like that. Once that's done, there's a sink in there that we use. We bring them over there, we rinse them all out, scrub them down really good again, rinse it, and then behind you is an autoclave, what I was telling you about. What happens is we take these pouches up here, we put the instruments in those pouches depending on the size, we date them, and then we place them in there. Run it for about 35 to 40 minutes. What it does is it gets up to 273 degrees and 300 psi of pressure, so it kills anything. The biggest reasons, we're Board of Health regulated. I mean, that machine I have to test once a month. I send a spore test into an independent company. They test to make sure the autoclaves are working properly. That has to go to the Board of Health. Board of Health does random inspections, make sure that we're keeping up. That's what I was saying, like, that's part of the, if you want to be part of a shop, or you want to be a licensed artist in a shop, you have to follow these rules.
As a reminder, getting a tattoo or piercing in a non-professional atmosphere is extremely dangerous. If you choose to alter your body through one of these modifications, then to do so without bodily harm, you will need to go to a professional such as Brad or Richard. We would like to thank the staff at both the Ink Shop and Flesh by Design for letting us interview their artist. The Ink Shop is located at 206 Summer Street in Fitchburg, Mass., and Flesh by Design is located at 701 Main Street, Fitchburg, Mass.